Hey you, and thank you for clicking on this video. My name is Layla, and today I wanted to tell you how I learned 4 languages before hitting 20. Disclaimer, I just turned 19 years old, so happy late birthday to me. No, but seriously, I want to give you some tips today on how I did it and what exactly I implemented in my life in order for me to get these results quickly. So the 4 languages that I speak are Arabic, Hebrew, English, German, and in exactly this order. So it would obviously make sense that Arabic is my mother tongue. I don't know what I can say to you there because it didn't really feel like learning a language. It's my mother tongue. Now let's move on to Hebrew. Hebrew we had to learn at school, and so it was just part of the curriculum, and we only started learning Hebrew in the 2nd grade. I think what really helps is that Arabic and Hebrew are from the same language family, and so there are a lot of similarities. In terms of sentence structure at least, and how we conjugate verbs, the words in themselves and the way we pronounce them, you could kind of conclude what the meaning of a word in Hebrew is just because you already know it in Arabic. Dog in Arabic is kalb, and dog in Hebrew would be kelev. Leg in Arabic is rijal, and leg in Hebrew is regel. Obviously, it was extremely helpful to have learned Hebrew for 10 years of my life during school, elementary, and high school. Moving on to English. English we started learning in the 3rd grade, so just 1 year after we started learning Hebrew. So all in all, I had 9 years of English at elementary school plus high school. And there was a lot that helped me learn English, things that I did not implement while learning Hebrew, and for that reason, my English has always been stronger. Things that I subconsciously did. It wasn't like I was aware of what I was doing and I really wanted to learn English and this is why I'm doing it. It was just a part of my life. One thing that Arabs find weird is that my parents and I do text in English a lot of times. Yes, we are fully Arab. Yes. We just happen to text in English, and sometimes when I'm trying to convey a feeling and I can't really say it in Arabic, then I just suddenly switch to English. It's just a thing in my family. I don't think this is the stereotype or the usual, unless you're Lebanese. Speaking and writing and just using English in my daily basis has been a tremendous help for me. I never had to study for an English exam at school in my life, not even for my big final at the end of high school. Nothing. I just walked into the exam and I got 0 mistakes. I got 100 out of 100 on my final. That comes to show you that practicing a language in your daily life is really gonna get you far. Another thing that falls under that category of really using the language is that my mom always had these discs in the car. They were always in English. I'm sure it wasn't like intentional for us to learn English. That's what I'm saying. It was all of these passive things that we just passively did, subconsciously did, and they really help because you're being surrounded with the language. Another super helpful thing was the fact that I loved reading. So even at a really young age, I was already reading these thick books in English, and I think at one point in time I remember being embarrassed of it, but then at one point it just switched and I was like wanting to brag about this. Like I would intentionally bring an English book with me to school just so I could like sit there doing recess, during the break, and just be reading a book, like just going through a few pages, trying to be cool, trying to be different, because you wouldn't see anyone else doing that, at least not at my school. But that's kind of funny. That's cringe, but it is the truth. I really did enjoy it. It wasn't really just for show. So at a fairly young age, I was just going through novels, English novels, and you bet that really upped my English. And that gave me a really good vocabulary, really good grammar, and I'm just really happy that I did that. And I love that I did it because I truly enjoyed it, and that just made it a lot easier. I'll repeat this again. Finding passive ways to be learning a language is gonna be your best friend. It's gonna bring you so far, and it's gonna save you a lot of drainage. We often get just demotivated because we feel like we're working so hard for something and we find no pleasure or enjoyment in it. Like when you're sitting for hours at a desk studying the grammar of a new language, it's never going to be fun unless you're a grammar enthusiast, and eventually it will drain you and get you demotivated, and you will not want to continue doing that. You'll have to force yourself to. Of course, there are things in life that we do have to force ourselves to do, and I'm fully for that. I'm fully for consistency regardless of result and regardless of mood. However, there are things that you can do to ensure that you are learning a new language while having fun. And I really hate seeing this in titles like learning German made fun. I don't like seeing it because it just feels like fake, but truth be told, it doesn't have to be. You can actually make it fun. Another thing I did that really boosted my English is having native speaker friends. This was a game changer. At about 13 years old, is when I kind of started becoming more introverted. COVID hit. I would really say that COVID took a toll on my personality because I was already awkward and already struggling with being social, and then COVID comes, locks me at home for like a whole year. Of course, that was detrimental to my personality and to my social capabilities at the time. So I became very introverted. I could not speak to a person standing in front of me, especially not my classmates. I didn't know how to communicate with them anymore. I didn't know how to be myself in front of them anymore, or how to present. And so for that reason, I kind of went back into my shell and started with online friends. There was this thing called IBF that was really, really popular on Instagram. IBF Finder, which is Internet Best Friend Finder. It was just so comforting to me to know that I can speak to someone who can truly see me for who I am without me having to actually be physically with them in person, because that was too draining for me. My social capabilities were not there yet. They weren't there. So I just needed to talk behind a screen. And that was the time where I really got into that. I had a lot of online friends at the time. Most of them were, I forgot to note, but American. But even when not, the only language we would have in common was English anyway. So regardless of the nationality of these people that I met, we were speaking English. We would have long phone calls, speak in English, texting in English. And so yeah, I think that was really great because this went on for longer than it should have, but it went on for 3-4 years where I was like really invested in these online friends. Like honestly, up until 2 years ago, I still had, I would say, 80% of these online friends. Pretty crazy, but you know, things happen, life happens, you lose them. Now moving on to German, my favorite part to talk about, because this was the first time that I truly actively sought out to learn a language. This was the first time that it was actually my decision to learn a language, and I had to do it from zero, and I had to do it for a certain purpose. So in my head it was always, yeah, Arabic, Hebrew, English is just part of the curriculum. It's just languages that I have to learn. And to be honest, where I come from, that's just kind of the basic. That's the bare minimum that you speak. So with German, it was a little bit different because I had a goal. I wanted to study at a German university. For that to happen, I needed to learn German. And I knew that I had 1 year to learn German. It was just a different approach to things. What did I do to become fluent in German after only 7-8 months? Let's talk about it. I have a video going more in depth about this and only speaking about my experience learning German, but I'm just going to give you a few points here very briefly. A very helpful thing to me was being at a language school. This is a must in my opinion. A language course, a language school, whatever you want to call it. Have someone or somewhere be a source of information for you, because if you solely want to rely on Duolingo, I feel like it's quite difficult. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I've seen many people, many creators actually say, yeah, Duolingo was pretty great for me and I'm so glad I used it and it really pushed my German to be better. But in my personal experience, it was not really the case. I don't feel like Duolingo could have in any way taught me a language from scratch, merely because of the fact that Duolingo does not explain grammar. It does not delve into the grammatics of things. It just gives you a whole bunch of words combined in sentences that don't even really make sense. Here an example. This is not a diss to Duolingo. I think it's an amazing app. It's just, I feel like if you want to learn a new language effectively and as quickly as possible, then you're gonna want to go direction physical classes, where you go into a classroom with a German teacher. Second thing I did was I changed my phone settings to German. Pretty self-explanatory, but you just start seeing German everywhere. I just got so used to it that my phone is to this day in German. I wouldn't have it any other way. Third thing I did was I started watching movies and listening to songs only in German. And again, I still do this to this day, but it's not with the intention anymore of, okay, I need to learn German. And I can truly enjoy it now because I can understand everything being said. At the time when I started, however, this was when I had A1 German, which is the very lowest of the lowest. It's the basic, it's the beginner. And I can tell you and reassure you that I understood not a single word. Like truly, I didn't understand anything. But then time after time, it really got better, and I'm really glad I did this and still do this to this day. German music can be tricky, apparently. People don't really like German music is the vibe that I get, and it's what my followers keep telling me on TikTok, like, I don't really connect to German music, I can't do it. Personally, I have to disagree, and I will eventually put out a playlist of my favorite German songs, but if that is still the case for you, that you can't seem to enjoy German songs made by Germans, maybe you could enjoy my German songs made by an Arab, you know, putting a little Arab spice on it, a little Middle Eastern spice. Maybe you would actually like it because my vibe is slightly different from the German songs that I've heard, and so go ahead and check me out on Spotify. I would really appreciate that. And the last tip that I can give you is to really speak as much as possible. cannot stress this enough. It is so important to actually use the language, to use it, because writing is one thing, reading is one thing, hearing is one thing, but I feel like speaking is single-handedly the most important part of a language. And it's so easy to do when you actually live in the country of the language that you want to speak. For example, you want to go to a restaurant, you want to make a reservation on the phone, just take the time to make it in that language. Even if you're nervous and uncomfortable and you're sure you're gonna make mistakes, who cares? At least you're practicing. It's never going to get better unless you actually start doing it. You want your speaking to get better, your accent to get better? It's not gonna get better in theory just by the fact that you're learning grammar more and you think that's gonna make you more fluent. It is not. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can go ahead and check out my TikTok for more German info, or you can check out my Spotify right here with my German songs, English songs, and maybe some Arabic songs eventually. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next videos.